Hey everyone, happy Friday and welcome to the Big Agent Meeting. My name is Frank Panunto and I will be your host today, filling in for the irreplaceable Russ Lagan, my brother. So I'm so happy to be here today. It is my pleasure and my honor. We have a phenomenal show for you today. So guys, please, if I were you, I would block out the next 40 minutes because the information we're going to have is going to be fantastic. The second segment, the Bryon Ellington segment, which is always great. He's going to be sitting with Jake Nicolle today to talk about what it's like about winning buyers in today's market, which is going to be really informational for us. It's going to be great. But first, our first segment, I get to bring on the Chief Marketing Officer, Wendy Forsythe. Wendy's got an unbelievable segment for our Leadership Corner today. So please help me welcome Wendy. Come on in, Wendy.
Hey, good morning, Frank.
Good morning. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday to you, and happy Friday to everybody tuning in this morning. Thank you for taking the time. This has been the highlight of my week. I've been looking forward to BAM all week. I've been like walking around my home office saying BAM. So
yeah, that's the fun part. It's like Emerald Lagasse all over again.
I know. It's so much fun.
Before we kick into your segment, I just want to say, in just such a short period of time that you've been here, you made such an impact already on the company, and really appreciate everything you're doing for us. And it's so great to have you, and just keep on keeping on. Thank you so much for what you've been doing. It's been great.
Oh, Frank, thank you. Thank you so much. It has been just like such a tremendous, opportunity. And I have had just such a great time getting to know everyone. And as we've been saying, drinking from the EXP fire hose. Yeah. But it is just an honor to support all of you every single day. And that brings me to why we're here today, is to talk about a key initiative that was part of my conversation leading up to joining you all. And I've been able to jump in sort of with 2 feet, since joining you. So I'm excited to bring a panel of ladies to have this conversation with me and talk a little bit about the EXP Women's Impact Network.
Yeah, so, you have an all-star panel, so take it away and have a great segment.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, I'm going to kick us off and just share with all of you. You've seen some emails. Some of you might have been sort of involved on the periphery in this over the last several months, but there has been a large group of EXP leaders working behind the scenes for quite some time to bring to life the EXP Women's Impact Network. And the vision of WIN, so of course we're using an acronym because we love our acronyms, but the vision of WIN is to really provide a community of mentorship, of leadership development, and of opportunity to support our diverse group of female leaders across our organization. And we are kicking off sort of the official in-person launch of the Women's Impact Network this summer in Austin on August 19th and 20th. And it is our first in-person event, and we just want to see you all there. So let me start to pull on some of my panel members that are going to join me to talk a little bit about the Women's Impact Network and what it means. And the first person that I am going to introduce is somebody that you probably all know. She is such a force within our community, and that is Jessica Nieto. So Jessica, come on here and join me.
Hey, good morning, Wendy. I'm super excited to be in the BAM meeting this morning as well. So it's fun to hear that you were saying it around your house. I hear myself doing that as well.
I was, every time I would see the promo come up on social media, I'd be like, BAM.
Bam.
So,
Good
so
morning.
speaking of BAM, like you are a BAM fierce lady. And I want to just thank you for everything you do as part of ONEeXp across our entire organization. But you and I, met probably my first couple days here at EXP, and it was to talk about how we can do a better job and how we can really create a community for our female leaders. So share with everybody a little bit about kind of the background of the Women's Impact Network and kind of how we got here to this conversation today.
Yeah, super exciting. And I'm so grateful, like Frank shared, since you've been here, like walked in the door, Wendy, you've just been so plugged into building community. It just feels like you've been so intentional with that focus. And it's so exciting. So the Women Impact Network, really, there's so many women in our community and men that are leaders of women, right? Or men that are led by women, and just really a need for us to be focused and working on the development of those skills to be better leaders in our businesses and in our community, and to highlight more of the stories of agents and staff and all of the things that they're doing within their communities already to make an impact. So leading up to, and I'm so excited to be with everyone in Austin, and leading up to the event, stay tuned for communications, both staff and agents, about the details to get involved with the Women's Impact Network. So we're going to have so many ways that you can be involved, such as an opportunity to apply and join a global board of directors. How cool is that, right? To have those
Very
global,
cool.
right? The cultural insights, what's going on in our businesses in other countries within our EXP community. Then participate in a committee that's aligned with something that you're passionate about, some skill that you can bring to the table, or one that you want to sharpen and become better at. And then hosting local, regional events to make more impact in your communities. Or simply join as a member. Maybe you don't have a lot of time to commit to something, but you do want to benefit from the programming, workshops, live or virtual events. And then, of course, if you have something to teach or train that is specifically focused on leadership development, building community, how we can build our businesses around impacting the community, then there's going to be plenty of opportunities to share as well on the platform. So super excited about the launch, Wendy. And I think we're going to jump into some more details about WIN. And I'm very excited about Austin.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you for everything that you do. And I just want to highlight a couple call outs that the Women's Impact Network is not just about women, but it's also about men supporting women in leadership, in their professional development, in building the community of women leaders that we have. So just want to give that a call out. This is about you two gentlemen.
Big time.
And then the second call out, I just want to underscore that you mentioned is that the in-person event in Austin is really sort of step one. That is the stake we put in the sand. And over the next, sort of 45 days, you're going to hear more from us about sort of the development of the WIN organization that will include an opportunity for all of you listening to volunteer to be a leader within WIN through our board of directors that we're putting together, through the various committees that are being organized. So the group that you're hearing from today on this panel is really the group that has sort of brought it to life, but now it is time to extend that and ask for all of your involvement and participation. So stay tuned for more about that. And let's bring our next panelist in to join the conversation with Jessica and I. And this is a lady that has just made such an impact for me in the time that I've known her, and that is Renee Kaspar. So Renee joined EXP just shortly before I did, actually, as our Chief People Officer. And one of the things that is important about our WIN initiative is that over 60% of real estate agents in the US, and this would extend to a Canadian number, are female. So there's definitely a focus on supporting our female leaders. But we also have female leaders on our employee side of EXP that are working to support all of you out in the field every single day. So Renee, welcome to the conversation, and would love to hear a little bit about why the Women's Impact Network was important for you and the employee perspective.
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me, and happy Friday, and all of those things as well. Well, first, before I even start that, I want to just also extend gratitude to you and Jessica. First, because Jessica did all the hard work. So when I started 3 months ago, this work was already underway, and incredible things had been done before I started. And they already were thinking about the entire EXP family and community. And so I had the luxury and the privilege to be able to join the team and kind of help organize a little bit more of the employee population, and to think about how do we continue to thread the connection of our entire community. And so it's really a lot of that goes to Jessica, but it is important that we do see the connection and the cohesiveness, because we are one community, and we have several incredibly powerful female leaders within our company, and a lot of people that are growing their careers here internally as well, that are bench strength to continue to rise up to higher level positions. And it's really important that we empower those employees and provide the opportunity for them to be part of this wonderful launch and this initiative. And so for this event, there will be a number of people from the EXP staff that will be joining the event, which we're really excited about.
Yeah, I am too. And thank you so much, Renee, for helping to make that happen. I started my career on the agent side of the business. And I remember the first sort of corporate role I stepped into. It's very different to think about like leadership and career pathing. So to be able to bring our communities, our agent community, our employee community together like this, I think is so very powerful and will just benefit us in so many ways.
Absolutely. And sponsorship, mentorship, developing leadership skills are not isolated to either community. They're part of the whole community, and we need to keep fostering that throughout the organization. So super excited that this is where we're going. Really, really excited about it.
And I want to add that I learned so much being in community with the staff, so much. I mean, you all have so many different expertise in so many different areas. And so as agents, just want to say thank you, Renee. We're excited to all be with you in Austin.
Thank you.
Very cool. Well, the panel keeps growing, everyone. So let me invite our next panelist to join us on screen. And Jill, hop on in here and join the conversation with us. Jill is tuning in. She is actually in Sonoma, California. So thank you for taking a little time away to join us. But Jill, you have been such a driving force in bringing all of this to life. So thank you so much for just being an advocate for women here at EXP and women in our industry. And tell us a little bit about like where that passion comes from and why the Women's Impact Network has been important for you to bring to life.
Oh, well, first of all, it's so wonderful to be here with my sisters this morning, and all of our EXP peeps, and Wendy and Renee and Jessica. You've all already sort of been talking about the culture that we have at EXP of fellowship and support. We call it a lot of different things: sponsors, mentors. But I am really proud and excited that I got to add that Jessica was the one person that introduced me to this new passion that I didn't realize was growing inside of me, which is women's advocacy work that trickles out into men's advocacy. But, EXP developed their ONEeXp initiative well in advance of a lot of DEI programs across the nation. And Jessica and a lot of our wonderful ONEeXp peeps have just been evolving and growing that. And was it 2 years ago, a year ago, Jessica, you brought Betsy Myers into EXP to lead some courses. And I think that's when some of the wheels started shifting, and I was growing my awareness and understanding of how women are getting tripped up in the leadership journey. I mean, 60% of women lead our profession in real estate, and yet we don't have that percentage in the C-suite, in leadership, at brokerages, and I was very curious about that. And when I listened to Betsy Myers, who's now a wonderful consultant and leader and teacher with us here at
Our keynote speaker in Austin.
she
Yes.
is. But I had this moment when she was speaking. She has led a number of dynamic and powerful, impactful presentations for us at EXP. When she shared with us that one of the biggest challenges that we face as women in our leadership journey is our fellowship, support of each other, and our sense of worthiness. So female allyship, that blew my mind. I was like, wait a second. You're telling me that the one thing that's preventing us from getting up that ladder is us supporting each other? Done. As we say at EXP, we are built for this, and we know our systems and culture is embedded with lifting each other up, with a perfect framework of lifting each other up. So it just felt like it was time for us to pull together more formal, rituals and routines and framework for us to legit lift each other up. And
I love your energy, Jill.
I can't help it.
I can't even sit down anymore. I need to stand up.
Inspired. Yeah, exactly.
And then this is what, imagine this for a day and a half in Austin, and then all of the things that are happening from that. So let me pull in our last panelist, because I know she's waiting in the wings here, just chomping at the bit to be part of this conversation. So Elizabeth, hop on here and join us. Elizabeth is joining us from overseas. So we so appreciate you taking some time away from your family vacation. But you two have been instrumental in bringing this to life, and we're hosting our first in real life event in your hometown in Austin. So tell us a little bit about why WIN is important to you, and then set us up for why we want to visit Austin in August.
Yeah, y'all were in here visiting, and I was having a little FOMO being stuck in the green room. I was like, let me in, let me in.
We missed you.
I want to be amongst, right? I am so excited about this too. I mean, there's been so many of us along our journey. I mean, we don't succeed alone, right? And I always say women and men too, but we're lifting others as we climb. And to see this initiative really come together, and so many people passionate about helping others and lifting a hand down and pulling up. I mean, it's really, really cool to see the excitement from everybody. And even more so that it's in Austin, Texas. Y'all, it's going to be a little warm, a little toasty. Well, I guess it depends on where you're coming from. But I will say we are at the Fairmont, which is one of the coolest hotels in all of Austin, has one of the best pool scenes in all of Austin. So there's no excuse. I'm excited that y'all are coming to our hometown August 19th and 20th. It's going to be a day and a half of just inspiration, just pouring into each other, just stepping out a little bit differently, sitting up a little bit taller, taking some of those limiting beliefs and some of those insecurities that we all struggle with, and say, oh, I'm not alone in thinking this. And if somebody like Jessica is thinking this, oh my gosh, what can we do together? And so it's really all of us coming together and collaborating in a big way, and starting, just to build those relationships and network. And the relationships, I mean, getting to know Wendy and Jessica, obviously I've known Jill for many, many years, but these are precious, precious relationships. And we want everybody to experience the same, not only in your local market, not only in your state, but nationally and then globally as well. So much opportunity on the WIN network and what we're doing here. There is a registration link that is out. We will share the code, the QR code. It's 249 before August 15th. And you guys don't want to miss it. It's going to be money well spent. We're also, and I'm inviting other people that are in my industry, not necessarily with our company, but people that I really respect, and peers and colleagues and people that I would love to experience what we have as a family in EXP that they really don't have where they are. So I'm inviting others as well. I'd encourage everybody to do the same.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for helping to bring this to Austin. We're excited to be there. We'll have all of our hair product for Austin in August. I saw some chats. That was a common conversation. So it will be a lot of fun. And for all of you tuning in, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us here. Look for more information from us on how to get involved. You'll see that happening in our workplace groups, and also look for emails. Read your emails, because our communication will start with emails, and then we'll also extend that other places. But this is it's just the beginning. Right? It's the beginning of something that I think is going to be really magical. And I'm just so honored to be involved in this initiative with all of you, and with that larger all of you that are listening. So thank you, ladies, for taking the time to join us today, and everyone tuning in. I hope to see you in Austin, and please reach out with any questions.
See y'all soon.
See y'all.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone. Back to you, Frank.
Wow, that was incredible. I mean, listen, I've been in real estate for 30 years, and I always say that I've never experienced anything like the culture here at EXP. What an incredible panel of women. So such an incredible panel of women, and what we're doing here just speaks to the culture of this company. So well done, Wendy, and this is going to be a great event. So now, I am pleased to bring on our Chief Learning Officer, Mr. Bryon Ellington, who is the king of all learning. Bryon, come on in, my friend.
Well, good morning, Frank. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Couldn't be better, my friend. Couldn't be better. Happy Friday to you.
You too. And I was throwing a couple of bouquets to Wendy in the beginning. I need to throw a couple your way as well, only because I can just tell you, man, look, since you've been here, what you've done with EXP University and what you're doing for this company has been phenomenal. And I tell everybody on every call I'm in, like I'm talking to people every day, that there's two ingredients to be successful here. One is to think bigger than you've ever thought before. You know, we're a borderless company. You should be thinking beyond what your limitations are. And two, plug into the platform, plug into the people. And the stuff that you're doing for this platform, Bryon, is out of this world. And I know you have a couple of new initiatives coming up that we should talk about. So let's talk about FastCap, and let's also talk about the Dan Beer program that's coming up. These are two awesome initiatives that you're spearheading here.
Well, thank you. And here's the secret, man. You just go get with really cool people who are doing really cool things and figure out what they're doing and share that. And that, by the way, you mentioned FastCap. That's exactly what we did. We went out and researched people who had done at least 2 deals in their first 6 months in the industry. 6 months in the industry, at least 2 deals. In their first 12 months in the industry, they did at least 12 deals. And we modeled that, and that was FastCap. So for us, we released that course this past Monday. We had 430 folks sign up. Wow. So we're piloting it right now. I shouldn't say we released it. We were piloting it for the next 6 weeks, and then we'll tinker with it a little bit and then release it into the wild this fall. But man, so far it's going really well. We're really excited. By the way, speaking of that, if you didn't get into the pilot, that's okay. We have Kickstart. And in fact, the next one is starting July 2nd. You can go to expuniversity.com. Register for that. That also is a 6-week program. It'll help you to launch your business. And then in the fall, be sure to check out FastCap.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that people always say, oh, EXP, you guys are a recruiting company. We're a production company first. We sell a heck of a lot of houses, and we have the tools to help people become successful and build a sustainable business. And that's what it's all about. Honestly, that's what we're all about.
That's right. And as a result, we tend to attract the people who are productivity minded when you look at our production per person. And I heard a stat that our top 250 teams, if you were to put them together, they'd be the number 6 brokerage in the US. Wow. So you want to talk about productivity? Yeah, we are a very productive company. Well, and hey, speaking of that, so you mentioned Dan Beer, July 11th, as part of Elevate Coaching, Dan's kicking off his Listing Mastery series. That's going to be a great program. 8 sessions. It's actually 7, but he's doing a bonus session in there. Oh, cool. And if you don't know Dan, since 2016, he has had the #1 listing market share in San Diego. And so this man, when I say listing mastery, he is a listing master. And if you want to learn his, and he's giving it all away. I mean, he is really just giving you everything in this program. So check out EXPElevateCoaching.com, and that's Dan Beer's listing master. If you want to get into that, that's going to start July 11th and go 8 weeks.
Awesome. Well, I know you have a great guest coming on, so have a great segment. And I'll see you at the end.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Jake, are you there? Hey, how are you? Man, I'm so jealous of your studio. That looks so cool. And by the way, always great sartorial choices here. You're looking fresh, man. I love it. If you don't know Jake Nicolle, Jake is one of our top agents in Hamilton, Ontario, in the greater Toronto area, or as they say there, Toronto. I got to meet Jake at EXPCon Canada last month with his business partner, David. They were kind enough to get up on stage and do an amazing session for the agents who attended. And I asked him if he'd come and share a little bit about that. So welcome, Jake. Love having you here. We've been on this kind of journey together for the past several months of bringing talented folks in to share their tips, tricks, strategies, secrets. And in our conversation, you run the gamut. So where do you want to start? Because everything from your be-do have map to your database techniques, I wish we had 3 hours with you, but where should we start?
Awesome. So Bryon, first off, man, it's so good to be here. I'm such a fan of what you're doing for the business. Like even just hearing the lead up to this today, you were sharing that we're productive. So we're incredibly productive. And that should be everybody's goal on this call is like make real estate sales your focus and everything else will fall into place. So today, man, I'm just really excited to dive in and talk about what's helped me have a little bit of the background. So do you mind if I just start by introducing a little bit of the background of what I've done in terms of talking about production? Let's talk about production first, and then I'll get into some strategies that I like to use. How's that sound?
That sounds great, man. Let's do it.
Awesome. So first off, I've been licensed coming up on 3 years now. So I got licensed like the very end of 2021. So all I've known, Bryon, is hard times, man. It's been a wild journey in the business. And you can see somewhere floating over here, there's a couple of trophies that I like to keep there for my way over the overkill Zoom setup. All right. And my very first year in the business, I did 35 transactions. And I did, in terms of GCI, I did about $750,000 in GCI my first 12 months in the business. All right. And won that Rookie of the Year award. And then the second year, which was last year for me, I did about $850,000. And this year I'm a little over $600,000 year to date so far. Okay. Now, the reason I'm sharing all the numbers is not to brag at all, because I've got YouTube videos where I just like literally break down everything about how it is that I've done that production. But today, what I really want to dive into is what you and I were talking about, Bryon, which is how do you organize yourself in a world where we've got all this NAR stuff going on? Rules feel like they're changing. Buyers and sellers feel like there's maybe a higher level of you needing to demonstrate value as quickly as possible so that you can establish trust and move things forward. So I've got a framework that I'd like to walk us through today at a high level. And then for anybody that has questions afterward, you can feel free to reach out and connect further online. I'm on Instagram, everywhere else. But how's that sound, man? You ready to jump right in?
I am. And this is, you and I were talking about this. Look, I'm an agent. You're an agent. We all experience the same thing, right? You get your license, you go sit down at your desk one day and you're like, okay, but what do I do?
Yeah.
But what do I do?
Yeah.
And so are you going to, do you want to call up your framework on your laptop there?
Yeah, so I'll pull this up. And to your point, this is exactly what I feel like I noticed a ton with myself in terms of what I would run into. And you let me know when you can see this here. But what I absolutely noticed was that for myself and many of the other agents that are on our team here, this dilemma that people would run into is they wouldn't know how to orient themselves with their sales time to be as effective as possible. Like, I don't know about you guys, the last thing I want to do is I don't want to sit down at my desk and ask myself the question of what should I be doing today? How should I be bringing value to people? Where do I start? Because that's how you totally overwhelm yourself. And we know that complexity is the enemy of execution. Like simple beats hard every day of the week. Just keep things really simple. Can you see my screen there, Bryon?
I can, yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So here's what we're looking at. And you see the be do have along the top, right?
Yeah, I like that. So if you're not familiar with this, Stephen Covey talked a lot about this, and James Clear, he referred to it as identity-based, and then process-based, and then outcome-based in our behavior change. And it's a way of thinking about who you are first as an identity, and then working towards what you need to do to become that, and then having that. I love that.
You just taught that better than me, man. I should have you teaching this. That's fantastic. And to your point there, it's like, I think what we kind of forget is that as agents, we maybe overcomplicate things. I'm going to really try to just simplify things for you today, because I feel like we're in a world where complexity is increasing. We have conversations around AI. We have conversations around, how do you stand out amidst increasing competition? Like, there's just a lot of variables that it feels like are happening with interest rates, with wars, with economic uncertainty. Like, there's all of this complexity. And I feel like our job is to understand that confused people don't buy. So we need to be confident. We need to be very clear with our own processes. And I actually am jealous of many of you that if you're an individual salesperson, or you're, brand new in the business, or you're high producing, but you're still relatively your own agent, you have the best job in the world, because it's so clear and it's so simple, which is just serving people and sales. All right. So here's what I want to highlight for you guys, because this at a glance is very overwhelming, but Bryon just broke it into these 3 sections. This B section is the identity section. Here's all you need to know today. You have to define in this section why it is that you're doing what you're doing, and get clear about it. And if you haven't written it all down before, just start there. That's the easy version. The medium version is you going through and actually starting to define things like having your 411 well written, actually having a mission, vision, values, goals, principles statement written out. And the hard version would be like you going through, EOS from the book Traction, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and really getting super clear about your why, your mission, vision, values. Where are you going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Can you have your big, hairy, audacious goal defined really well? Okay, that would be like the hard version. And the reason you actually want to start there and use Simon Sinek's Start With Why is because otherwise it's going to be, Monday morning in 3 days, and you're going to wake up and you better have a darn good reason to get out of bed and want to get after it. That isn't just about the money. It's not just about, one little thing here or there. You want to have a mission that you're moving towards that's compelling and exciting for you. So that's the reason we start there, because all the next thing, which is essentially from this line all the way over to this line, this big do section, is all process. And process is really hard if you don't have the oil of the vision, the mission, the why you're doing it, to get the gears in motion. All right. So we're actually going to jump right into this what section. And this is what we're going to kind of focus on. The what is it you should be doing to actually operate your business? And this framework is really helpful. So number 1 is understanding that you want to have an outbound lead gen time that is in your calendar. The way that I set up my calendar now, Bryon, in terms of time blocking, is I set up my calendar so that I actually have a couple days of the week where I just do sales all day long, nothing else. And what I used to do is I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do sales time in the morning. Then I'm going to run out on appointments. Then I'm going to do some content stuff one day. Then I'm going to run out on appointments. Then I'm going to do sales. And I would find that my days would get hijacked. They get hijacked by people just calling me. There'd be all this stuff going on. There'd be a deal suddenly. And then what happens is my sales time gets sacrificed. And then you end up on the real estate roller coaster, because you get busy, you stop doing sales. And then, as you know, suddenly 90 days out is where you start to actually experience the work that you're doing today is 90 days in the future, where you'll experience the fruit and the hard work of all the seeds you're planting today. So
that's right. And Jake, a different way of saying what you just said when you said our days get hijacked. To be honest, we allow our days to get hijacked. And that's because we haven't identified ourselves as the professional lead generator at this time, or the professional, salesperson at this time, right? So a lot of it is, what do you allow to have happen? Because look, you're not going to allow those things to interrupt your sleep time. You're not going to allow those things to interrupt your meals. You're not going to allow those things to interrupt you in your church, synagogue, mosque, whatever. So what you allow for is what you will get, right?
Man, what you just gave is probably the best analogy, because for all of you watching, Bryon, you just gave a bunch of those examples. Here's a really real example for all of you watching right now. If you were the person on camera right now, would your phone be turned off? Would you let calls be popping up on your screen? Would you let anybody get a hold of you? Would you probably even message your spouse like I did and say, hey, please try to keep my little 1-year-old son, Harvey, our little boy, please try to keep him quiet right now because I'm doing something super important. It's like I set up an environment that is indistractable. I'm totally dialed in. Nobody can get a hold of me right now. And to your point too, Bryon, it's like when you're sleeping, your phone's in sleep mode. You're not like leaving the ringer on, answering calls in the middle of the night. It's like, to protect your time. So we have to have that same level of intentionality with the most important thing we do, which is connecting with people. So sales time is really number one. Outbound lead generation is you just trying to connect with people. And I broke it down into a couple simple categories that you can focus on. You can make calls.
I'm really curious about how you generate leads and what your process is there.
Yeah. So the first year in business, you might think, okay, your first year, Jake, if you did 35 deals, you must have just had a really big sphere. And the truth is, I was living in a city that I hadn't grown up in. I'd only been living in that city for about 6 months. And the majority of my business actually came from me being really outgoing with door knocking, picking up the phone and calling leads as fast as I could get them. So here's exactly what I did, Bryon. Number one is door knocking was the most important tool that I had, because I lived in a neighborhood where I could go knock on all the doors in that neighborhood and I could say, hey, my name's Jake. I'm actually your neighbor. I live down at 123 Fake Street over there. And they would, poke their head out the door and look and be like, oh yeah, I recognize the house. And I'm like, yeah, hey, I actually live here. I'm, knocking to meet the neighbors, just coming around to meet everybody and say, hey, but I actually live here in the neighborhood and I am a real estate agent as well. How long you been here for? And I would just strike up the conversation, Bryon, and people were so receptive because I would use that. And then the second I get a listing, I'd go door knock it several times. I'd knock it and say, hey, we have a listing that's coming up. Hey, we have an open house that's coming up. Hey, we're on the market now. Did you want to see all the photos, videos, details? Hey, we've now sold the house. Are you interested in selling your house? Because we've got other buyers that might be interested. It's like 4 excuses to go door knock an area to talk about yourself as a person and bring value to people.
I love that. Every top agent I've known and asked about their lead generation strategy, door knocking has been one of those lead generation strategies. So for those of you who are a little hesitant, reticent, that is one of the best strategies to dominate a farm area, which is one of the best strategies to build a base for your business.
So to your point right there, I've got this little reminder on the bottom for our team, which is masters never don't do the basics. And I wrote it that way on purpose, so you'd think really hard when you're reading it, because masters always do the basics. It's like what I see a lot of people doing right now, Bryon, is, and maybe for you, the person watching this today, you can relate to this and you're getting a little bit carried away with this, which is you are trying to come up with a creative solution where you're hearing all the buzz about AI, which all the buzz is real. But the problem is you're trying to build the foundation of your business around creativity. And the challenge there is the masters that are adding creativity to their business, they're adding it on top of the basics. And they never don't do the basics. So this little graphic over here shows systems on the bottom, which creates a stable foundation. And once you've done those systems, then you can add on the creativity. But if you put creativity on the bottom, your entire business is not stable, because you're not going to end up adding those systems and those processes on top. What's going to happen is you're going to struggle through the creative phase. And here's a great example, Bryon. I've got agents on my team that not too long ago were like, Jake, I really want to figure out how to really just focus on social media as lead generation. And the challenge that I found is that if that's your core way that you're trying to drive your business, here's what happens. You're going to start to build up people from social media. Let's say it goes perfect, Bryon, and you start building up all these people from social media that are excited and interested to chat with you. Well, what's your process to keep them engaged and make sure that your bucket of all the leads that are coming in isn't just filled with holes in the bottom and everybody's falling through? And the answer is
the biggest challenge for us.
Yeah. And the answer is your CRM. It's the basics. It's like, make sure that everybody that you speak with, you take that person and you have a CRM that you put them into and you build a profile of that person, because you're going to forget about people. You're going to forget about what they said to you. You're going to forget about those details. And that CRM becomes your guiding light so that you know who you're talking to, what their motivation is, what their time frame is, etc. And all of that is the basics. So it's like you do the basics and you get good at calling people. Then when you add a creative solution like social media and all these leads start piling in, you have a process to run them through that'll make all that time and effort you've spent to generate those leads yield itself into results.
Hey, Jake, I would love for you to spend like 5 hours talking about a database. We've got a couple minutes. Could you show us, because you showed me your follow-up boss system. Now, look, with EXP, you have KV Core. What Jake's about to show you, you can do in there as well. He uses Follow Up Boss, another great program as well, especially for teams and large teams and small teams alike. But what I found interesting is how you had your database organized. And I think it's a great thing for us to learn from.
Yeah, big time. So here's what I can show you just kind of at a high level right here is that my database is sorted so that I can sit down and know exactly who to go after. So number one, this first bucket is new leads, no call attempts. These are people that have just come into my database that haven't been contacted yet. They are arguably the most important people to call from the perspective of one of them might be someone who wants to sell or buy right now. So those are the first buckets that I call every day. The second is new leads that I haven't reached daily. All right. And I've arranged my database here, my CRM. You can use any CRM. They all have the same function. The best CRM, in case you're going to reach out and ask me, is the one that you actually use. So it doesn't matter. Just use your CRM. And these are set up so that people automatically go into these smart lists that update with contacts. So new leads, no call attempts, new leads not reached daily. Then I call people that have just come back to my website. Then I call people that I've labeled as hot. I call them once a week. I have people that I've labeled as warm. I call them every other week. And I have people that are cold that I call every other month just to check in with. Hot means that they're looking at making a move in the next 3 months. And cold is 6+ months and warm is there in the middle. Okay. That alone is enough for you to move everything forward in terms of your business and getting clear. Then I've got past clients and my sphere that I contact quarterly. And the simple script there, Bryon, is the classic Ford script. How's your family doing? How's your job going? Occupation, recreation. What are you doing for fun these days? Hey, Bryon, you mentioned you had this big dream of going out and doing this thing. How's that dream going for you? And naturally, people will say, by the way, what are you up to, man? Are you still in real estate? How's that going? Or I saw you're crushing it. Or what are you doing for work these days? And you can, carry on from there.
This is the name of the game. So listen, we all want every single person that we meet to be an immediate piece of business. That's not going to be the case. In fact, the vast majority of people you're going to meet are not going to be immediate business. They're going to be future business if you can stay in touch with them and really build that relationship and really add value. And one of the ways that you do that is exactly what you're talking about. Understand the person. Now, if you're getting up there in years as I am, good luck remembering all those details as you meet a vast amount of people. And you're going to need to meet a vast amount of people so that the law of percentages work in your favor to give you the kind of business that you want. And so a system like this that's organized where it basically reminds you today, this is what you're doing, is exactly what you need in your business. So Jake, thank you so much for being on today. We really appreciate it, man. How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, best way to reach out to me would be through Instagram. Go Jake Nicolle, Nicolle. Drop me a follow. I'll follow you back right away. Message me on there and you'll hear back from me. So I'm looking forward to it, guys.
Always a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us. We really appreciate it. And thank you guys for letting us come play. Frank, let us hand it back over to you.
Hey, thank you very much. Awesome stuff. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Bryon. Tremendous. Database blocking and tackling will always be the most important part of a foundation. We know that. And you just reinforce that. There's nothing more effective. So, Jake, what you're doing is awesome, man. I'm always so impressed. Like, just when you think you've seen the greatest part of EXP, a guy like Jake shows up, right? It's like it just keeps getting better and better. The quality of our agents are phenomenal. So, thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
Happy Friday.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to the big agent meeting. And don't forget, we like to know how we're doing. So make sure you go to the QR code. Please get our score and go in there and let us know how we're doing. If you want to see some changes, if you like what we're doing, we're going to keep on doing it. If there's some other things you'd like to see, we will add it to it. Your voice matters to us. And finally, I think we have one more slide. Finally, I think that's it. Oh, here we go. So we're getting ready now. If you scan here now, the 50+ top agents streaming. This is our on-air show that we have. This is phenomenal, you guys. It's a 24/7 radio show. I think you guys understand that. I think we're the only company that does this. So scan this. Go to Real Estate On Air. Go check out what we're doing. It is phenomenal. The guests on there and the hosts are just fantastic. So thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend. Stay tuned for your next programming. We got a phenomenal guest. Look at these guests coming up. Just a great panel. So I want to turn it over to iConversations. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time on BAM.